Islam, peace, peace, greetings to you all. Sheikh Way L, a.k.a. Lord Abba, a.k.a. Mr. Just the Facts. This video is, I said I wasn't going to respond to these guys no more except with scholarship. And that's what I'm doing in part here. But I kind of want to let the people know how I view people like Sara, Suten, Seti, and Young Pharaoh, and many of these Afrocentric pseudo scholars. I was watching one of Sara, Suten, Seti's videos on the questionnaire of the Moorish Science Temple of America, also called the 101s. Let me say, Seti knows my arguments. He knows my arguments. I've been calling Sara, Suten, Seti out for years. I have videos up on this channel where I shut Seti's claims down that he was making against Aline Bey in their debate all those years ago. And he knew that I was a different breed of Moor that he was used to dealing with, the type that he couldn't get his weak arguments off on. When I look at Seti and Pharaoh and all of the guys over the years who have attacked us, and I get deeper into my own studies on Islam and on Christianity, the Holy War, it's been going on for a long time, then I am easily brought to the conclusion that these guys are proxy agents for the European Christians and their crusade against Islam. I mean that's exactly what they are. They are proxy agents. I'm gonna get into some of this. You see, the Europeans didn't fear. They didn't really fear Garvey. They didn't fear Garvey. They did fear his ability to mobilize. They were afraid of that. The ability to mobilize. But he wasn't seen as a threat to quote unquote white supremacy and its world domination. I'm gonna get into something real quick. I brought this up before. I got this from the research of brother Dr. Wesley Muhammad. It's a man who wrote a book named Theodore Lothrop Stoddard. He wrote this book, I believe it was 1920. And the name of this book is called The Rising Tide of Color Against White World Supremacy. Little background on Stoddard. He was a very influential American political scientist and a white supremacist. Somebody Donald Trump would be proud of to have on the team today. He was also a historian with a history degree from Harvard University. He wrote a book called The New World of Islam, which meant that he had a history on Islam. He knew Islam. In his book on the rising tide of color against white world supremacy, he notes his concern of what would threaten white supremacy worldwide. In several instances in the book, he states, concerning Islam's steady progress in Black Africa, there can be no shadow of a doubt. Every candid European observer tells the same story. Mohammedanism, says Sir Charles Eliot, can still give the natives a motive for animosity against Europeans. Another part of the book, he goes on, 20 years ago, another English observer, T.R. Threlfall, wrote, the rapid spread of militant Mohammedanism among the tribes north of the equator is a serious factor in the fight for racial supremacy in Africa. Islam is as yet unknown south of the Zambezi, but white men universally dread the possibility of its appearance. Again, this book was, if I'm not mistaken, written in 1920. Somewhere around that time frame. If I'm not mistaken, it was 1920. So you're talking about during the time of Garveyism. This is what they feared. Islam. They didn't, to this day, that's what they fear. This is why they keep painting Islam in this bad light. Because they don't want, particularly the quote-unquote Negroes, as they call us, of America, to wake up to the fact that this is our true religion. Something that Prophet Noble Drew Ali came and explained to us. Since we've had several scholars who have come on the scene, the aforementioned Wesley Muhammad being one of them, who have shown and proved that Islam is the religion of our forefathers. And that the Europeans fear, they fear a quote-unquote Islamic black man. I am apt to believe that they fear us knowing that we are Islamic Moors more than they know or fear, us being Islamic black men, because nobody's black. It's just it is what it is. And that's where we depart as the Moorish Science Temple of America away from many of our Islamic brethren. Now, when I look at Sara, Suten, Seti, and YP and the rest of these guys, their attacks have no meaning other than they are trying to create a cult-like following. This has been explained and explicated on many different channels. I've said it before, and it's a fact. No, it's an undeniable fact. I was listening to Sara, Suten, Seti's 101 breakdown, and he was talking about the Moabites, and he was saying that y'all got had, y'all got took. Basically, Noble Drew Ali gave us a bad doctrine, and his only point of reference was the Bible. If you use the Bible in a debate, particularly with one of us, when I say one of us, I mean one of us Moorish scholars, what you do not realize psychologically is that you are advancing European domination, or what they would call white supremacy, what we call European psychology. I wrote this book, The Moabites. Who are the Moors? Biblical myths versus historical facts. I want to read a quick passage. And this is coming from out of the scholarship. This is the scholarship. It says there were other Moors. They were the Saharans of Sahelian Takroris. They were not fictitious. I highlight that in the book. And Christendom knew them by a biblical name. The Moabites. Ishmaelites were the Muslims of Spain, while the Arab, Bedouin, Berber, Moabites were the Almoravids, who, although Sanhaja Berbers from the Sahara, also claimed to be descendants of the Himyarite Arabs of the Yemen. This comes from a book called The Berbers in Arabic Literature that was published in 1982. Let me go to my bibliography by H.T. Norris, Arab Background Series. This is important. Anybody that knows the Sahel region of Africa knows that it is a strip that spreads from East Africa to West Africa. Around 1000 AD, this particular group of Moors forms the state of Takror. And they go to Spain. This is about 300 years after the initial wave of Moors. And it was under these Moors, the Almoravids, that the sciences and the arts and all of these things that Moorish Spain, Al-Andalus, had become famous for takes its shape. These Moabites, they knew themselves as Moab. Seti spoke about Moroccan, and we mentioning the fact that what is the modern name for Moabite? Moroccan. I mean, the brother is so ignorant. No, and I'm not saying this to demean the brother or to be mean, but after studying as long as I've been studying and listening to actual intellectuals and scholars, this brother is just ignorant. His lack of pronunciation, proper pronunciation of simple words proves this point. His lack of any background research, his flaunting his mere opinion, his shock value style as scholarship proves just how ignorant this brother is. The name recorded in the records for Morocco is Marab, M-A-R-A-B. This is the name that the Moors gave to this particular region. This is vital. This is vital. When you're looking at an English transliteration of the name Moab, it will always be read M-O apostrophe A-B or M-O apostrophe A-V. The B and the V are interchangeable in Hebrew and certain Berber dialects. This is key. This is scholarship. I want you all to look it up. It is called the Beged Kafid. Pull that up. Don't ask me to spell it right now. It's a scholarship. That apostrophe is called an elision. Know anything about vocabulary and philology or the study of languages, you'll understand that an elision is a space which can be a consonant, vowel, etc. within a word, sentence, or phrase. And so when we have this word Moab or Moav, there is a space there, and it is filled by an apostrophe in the English transliterations. But in the records, and this is why studying the medieval records of the Christians who were at war with these Moors is important, because the Moors knew themselves as Moors, they knew themselves as Moabites, and in the Arabic, the name Moabite becomes al, the definitive article the, Moab, with the R filling the elision of the apostrophe in Moab or Moab, and id, meaning the people of. Id is the same as ish. When you hear this ignorant brother, Sara, Suten, Seti, say that ish means kinda, sort of. Now, we're not really Moors, we're more-ish, so we're not fully Moors. It shows how ignorant he is and that he does not care anything about the facts, because ish and id have the same exact source. Again, pull up the suffix ish. It is an adjectival suffix, which is a suffix that describes the noun. It being a suffix that denotes approximation does not come into existence until 1916 as a colloquial or a slang. So if a girl looked like a tomboy, they would say she was boyish. If you said meet me around 6, you would say 6-ish. This is a recent invent in the English language. Pull up your etymological dictionaries. You see, this is why people like Sara, Suten, Seti is scared. Young Pharaoh and all of the people like him, all of those Afrocentric guys are scared to have a debate with a true scholar of the Moorish Science Temple of America, because they will get destroyed and they will be made to look like fools. So in that, I want to speak to you about the end game. What is my end game? Because Sara, Suten, Seti, and Young Pharaoh, they have no end game. They have absolutely no end game. Because if they were real, if they were honest, they would be able to stand upon their merits. I was in one of Young Pharaoh's live streams, I got 3 different YouTube channels. Each channel, when I commented, he blocked me. Why? Because he didn't want to see my comments correcting his misinformation. He didn't want his cult following seeing my comments, directing them to where they can find the information that refutes this brother's weak and bogus claims. These people are not scholars. They have no endgame. Their endgame is to keep pumping out YouTube videos. So let me tell you about my endgame, Lord Abba's endgame. Naheem. That's what my people know me as. I've officially changed my name to Naheem. I'll be running with Naheem Bey real soon. My endgame is part of the divine plan of the ages. First, teach my people the things that will make them better citizens. We are citizens here in this country, whether you like it or not. Sara, Suten, Seti Young Pharaoh, they can speak all of the nonsense, anti-governmental rhetoric they want against the United States of America. They're citizens. And when we see them expressing all of that vitriol and hatred, well, the First Amendment of the United States of America protects them, because they couldn't go, you know, Seti says we can't go in another country and claim that Noble Drew Ali is a prophet. I'll go anywhere and claim Noble Drew Ali is my prophet, period. But he couldn't go be a citizen of one of these other countries. Let's use the same model, an Islamic country, and be critical of Islam, because it'll be his head being rolled around in the streets, being kicked around like a soccer ball. They have no end game. So one, it is to teach my people the things that will make them better citizens. Proper civics, not that Taj Tariq Bey nonsense and people that you see on YouTube. A lot of these guys from California, got a couple cats from Texas. That, what is that, Moorish American 720, that garbage YouTube channel that's just taking our people backwards and putting them back to sleep, back into mental slavery. No, real American civics that Prophet Noble Drew Ali was teaching. 2, the uplifting of fallen humanity. How do you uplift the people? By setting up and establishing programs that speak to the social and economic plight that we all are facing here in the United States of America, and giving them their religion and their divine creed with a key to unlock the scriptures that we already have. This is what the quote-unquote Circle 7, as it's been called, was given to us for, to unlock the mysteries of the Quran, the Bible, the Buddhic teachings, the Confucian teachings, etc., etc., the sacred wisdom teachings. Political power. We need to be influencing politics at every level, because me making this video, what does it do to move policy or shape policy in Congress where it's needed, where these devils are passing laws in states that disenfranchise or seeking to disenfranchise our people from voting? They're about to kick all of the people off of welfare and say that you have to work. You got people that can't work. So they're going to find jobs for you to do, to be out and work for the pennies that welfare gives people every month, $500 and $600 a month, $700, $800 a month over 4 weeks. They're going to find, like what I'm proposing, this is what my end game is, to seek the highest seats of power within this nation. Sara, Suten, Seti, and Young Pharaoh, and many of these YouTube vloggers, they have no end game. They have absolutely no plan at all. This is why they won't debate. This is why they will not debate. They're, as we say in the hood, they're suckers. They're cowards. Like, real talk, they're cowards. And they see the potential of what our organization can bring. And as the proxy COINTELPRO agents that they are, their only frame of thought is to try to stop it because they have nothing to offer. And they're so against Islam. They're so against the Moors because of the pseudo Afrocentrism that they got from books like Chancellor Williams' Destruction of a Black Civilization that they can't support Islam. So it is incumbent upon them to tear it down. It's all they have. They have absolutely nothing else. That is all they have. Strip YouTube and everything else away from these guys. What do they have? What programs can they offer the community that will take the community to the next level? Dr. Ben books? I'm not crapping on Dr. Ben, but I can't uplift the people with Dr. Ben books. I can show them some of the history out of those books. You're not studying American history and constitutional law and what it takes to shape policy, the power of the people, as is noted in the Constitution under the 10th Amendment. Then what are we doing? That goes for all of you. All of you. What are we doing? I'm different from Young Pharaoh, Sara, Suten, Seti, and all of these conscious community cats. I'm just using them two because they the biggest two haters right now, trying to knock something that they will not face. It's like pasting a picture on a punching bag, punching on the punching bag, knowing that the punching bag can't hit you back, and saying, look how we beating the Moors up. Look, like, it's corny. These dudes are just corny, and I gotta call them on it because they're suckers. In the real street sense of the word, I gotta call them what they are, suckers. Because if you was real in the streets, that would transfer into what you're doing, because the streets is our first school of thought. It's our first school. And everything you learn from your kindergarten class, you take with you to the first, second, and third grade. When you get to the sixth grade, you don't discard what you learned from kindergarten, first, second, and third grade, or you would be discarding your ABCs and 1, 2, 3s. Well, the streets was our first school of thought. So we know real when we see real. And these cats are not real. They were never real to begin with. So they could talk all the gangster stuff that they want, but it doesn't transfer nor translate into their words nor their actions. Again, they're a bunch of suckers. If they weren't, they would take me up on my debate, period. So I just wanted to speak about the differences between me and a Sara, Suten, Seti, an admitted cokehead, right? And I'm not saying that to step on him. I'm saying that to say this man stood up in front of the people and told people that he sniffs coke, right? And yet and still, and if I'm influential, then my ways is going to influence your ways. So I wouldn't even, if I was doing that, I wouldn't even told people that. That would just be something that I do. Like, it just goes to show how ignorant the masses are. You people that follow these guys and come on my YouTube comment section and you never address the issues in the video. You always say, leave Young Pharaoh alone. He's doing this, and he's doing absolutely nothing but making YouTube videos. Corny. So, again, whenever y'all ready to have that debate, just let me know. Let's put the call out. Let's get it in. Let's have a neutral three-judge panel. Let's do it at a college university. Let's put some money on the table and let's get it in. Stop being suckers. Stop being suckers. Because that's how the real people that's in this community are starting to see you guys as just a bunch of lames, a bunch of suckers. And me, I'm like I always say, I'm still rough around the edges. I'll be that way for some time. And I'm going to call it how I see it. I use it to my advantage as opposed to my detriment. I don't be beating my chest on camera. I don't have to. My reputation is solidified where I come from. But now I'm forging a new reputation. And we won't stop until our end game is realized and we carry out the the laws of Prophet Noble Drew Ali, which none of you can knock, and none of y'all can debate or refute his teachings. You can just talk to your cameras and say that it's wrong, but you can't stand in front of an actual scholar and prove it. With that, I say peace.